So once you've got this unit unboxed and now in your home, let's talk about some of the new features of this unit, specifically the 48L. So as you can see, large metal box. We probably have this large kind of plastic with this dual pane temperature controlled glass. Size of this unit is going to be 17 inches wide, 20 inches deep, and about 20 inches tall. Now the height could adjust slightly based on adjusting the feet. So maybe a quarter of an inch or so, it could change in terms of the height being higher and or lower. So be cognizant of that. But how I've got the unit set up right now is about 20 inches high. So now let's talk a little bit more about the display of this unit in terms of what it is you see as you approach this unit. So up here, we've got our digital panel. So right here, we've got where this will allow for us to make any type of temperature and humidity adjustments. This right now is displaying in Fahrenheit. It can also be switched over to Celsius, but obviously being here in the States, we'll set this at a Fahrenheit temperature and humidity levels. So again, pressing this here, this is what's going to allow for either up and down of your temperature. Hit that again, this is where it's going to adjust either up or down for whatever the humidity level you want there is. Again, in either Fahrenheit and or Celsius. Also, as you can see here, this display the new light system. So originally the first unit had just this kind of puck system. Well, now we've got where they have LEDs kind of on both sides, which lights up the cabinet of this unit, which now allows you to focus on really the entire cabinet. Before, originally just with the puck, all you could kind of see was the cigars or boxes you had on the top shelf. Now with the LED strip lights on both sides, it really lights up the cabinet extremely well. So you can see exactly what it is you've got. When you get in there, you know exactly kind of what it is you've got, what you want to pull out. And again, as I had mentioned, one thing that I really enjoy is now being able to see both the temperature and humidity levels within this unit. So that in itself right there is one major improvement in addition to the strip lighting on the side. So as we go ahead and open up the door here, you can see you've got your strip LED lighting on both sides of the door. Hopefully you can see that okay. But once you get into the inside of the unit, again, you've got your puck light here. So as you can see here, you have kind of your box. You've got your dividers here. If it is something you want to use, these do all come out, so it will allow for you to have this kind of large open tray. So if you have whether it's boxes and or a lot of loose cigars, you can really set it up any way you want. But these dividers do come out, so if you want to, again, take those out and leave it as a completely open area, you can do that as well. So it does kind of just fit right back in there. So it slides back in really easily. Again, comes with two drawers. You've got, again, your larger or deeper kind of reservoir drawer here, and more of just kind of your flat panel for however you want it. Right now, I've got this just set with 3 boxes of 10 cigars there. So again, these shelves do adjust however you want. Again, if you want them all out and you want to just store boxes, you can do that just as easily. Now, if you want an extra shelf, you will have to reach out to Needone to make a purchase for another shelf if you want something along those lines. So now let's talk a little bit about how the humidity portion of this unit works. As you can see, this is significantly different than the other unit. Before, it just came with kind of this maybe 4x3 plastic kind of reservoir. Now they have something that's much larger. You've got kind of 2 like sponges on each side, so you can either fill the reservoir there a little bit. I already have water, so I don't want to tip it too far. I do have this kind of set up for both sponges on each side. If you didn't want to have either of these sponges on either side, you could have one large sponge soaking in there to allow for maybe more of that kind of slower release type of humidity. Or if you just literally want to kind of fill this up maybe about halfway, maybe a cup or so of distilled water only, you can set it up that way as well. But the interesting part about this unit is, as you can see, this slides right back into kind of just this little slot there. There is a fan that is, if you kind of stick your hand down there, there is a fan that's kind of circulating over top of that humidity. So as we make the adjustment here on the front, whether again, it's gonna be either your heat and or the humidity, those are gonna adjust. The fans will kick in. That will really move around the moisture within the unit to again, circulate it. So you've got even distribution of not only the heat within the unit, but the moisture as well. So you want all of those levels or the entire box to be as consistent as possible. Now, when it comes to the unit and its sound, so as you can see right now, you probably can't even hear this, and there's nothing distracting. you really don't hear the fans. I believe they've got that set at about 36 decibels. So not something that you're going to focus on. It's just gonna kind of work in the background. So from a sound level, that shouldn't be any bit of a disruption to really anybody. Now, as far as the unit goes, they do want you to keep this as open as possible. The back portion and maybe even the sides, I would say, as long as you've got that maybe 6 inches to a foot away from any wall, whether it's back or sides, that will just help or allow for the fans to work properly, allow for all of that airflow to kind of work in and out of the unit as effectively as possible, so that it's assuring that you have both the heat and the humidity levels properly set within your unit. So now let's talk a little bit more about some of the new features. So one of the main things that they've really started to focus on is how precise both your temperature and your humidity levels can be. This unit should only be fluctuating from a heating and cooling standpoint of about 1 degree. So anywhere from about 59 degrees all the way up to about 74 degrees. When you're talking about the humidity levels, here we're gonna be talking a little bit more about a plus minus 3 degrees humidity wise. So if you have this unit set at 70, it could fluctuate, or could actually read at about 73 or down to about 66. So in terms of that kind of registering, that's a pretty narrow amount of humidity. So the old adage is 70-70. Now again, that's all going to be very dependent on your climate and where it is that you live. So that rule of thumb in terms of keeping the unit at about 70 degrees temperature-wise and about 70% humidity, that will allow for, again, those possible or fluctuations in both heat and humidity to be within kind of that safe level. So on this unit here, again, I've opened up the door a little bit, so it's adjusting kind of based on not only the heat, but the humidity. But again, if you're keeping it within that range, and again, this will take a little bit of kind of playing around with in your area to assure that it's kind of keeping the proper heat and cooling portion, as well as the humidity level. So all of that being very, very important to kind of work together to assure that you are keeping your cigars, again, at those proper temperatures and proper humidity levels.